miss my old friend. Come to talk with you again. Cause a vision softly creeping.
Shalom, my name is Matei Vladescu.
My name is Daria Goldenberg and I'm in the 10th grade.
My name is Tudor Kovac and I'm studying in the 11th grade Humanities at the Lauderdale of Education.
Shalom. My name is Thea and I'm a 9th grader.
My name is Alexandra and I'm a 12th grader.
Restless dreams I walk alone. Narrow streets of cobblestone.
The ghetto in Poland was the first contact that we had with the Holocaust.
It seemed like a normal area of a normal everyday life in a big city.
They had to deal with a lot of diseases in the ghetto, and the people had to throw out the bodies of their own family members.
It was as if the city forgot its past and just moved on.
I noticed that you still have the bracelet of March of the Living. Why?
I don't know really.
When I visited and as a group visited the ghettos in Poland, it felt unreal.
People were just living their lives. They were at home. At the same time, they were in a place where they died.
And we saw the remnants of the infamous ghetto that was erected there by the Nazi regime.
But even if they were treated like, the Jews were treated like animals, they were put in a 2-room apartment and they were 20 people.
They didn't have food. They didn't have rights.
I understood that the streets that we were on and the buildings that we saw were buildings of horror, were streets where horrible things happened.
Their situation was horrible. We can't even imagine how they felt at that moment.
I remember the guide telling us that around 1 million people had lived there, and going there to that place, seeing it with your own eyes is truly sorrowful.
I felt that all the visitors that were there at the ghettos was genuinely cared about what happened.
It is, as I said, an extremely powerful contrast.
The March of the Living was a unique experience.
It was also a very meaningful lesson of history for me and for my colleagues.
The March of the Living for me was an amazing opportunity because I've got to learn a lot of things and things about history and human nature.
I have never been before to such a sad place.
Also, I was really impressed by the number of countries that came and participated in.
A place where so many people were murdered, where so many people suffered, where so many people paid with their lives just because they belonged to a certain people and a certain religion.
It was amazing also knowing the facts, also meeting and listening to survivors of the Holocaust there.
The guilt will always be there so long as the peoples exist.
The March of the Living was a truly amazing experience for me.
In the Talmud, in Judaism, there is a principle: the son is guilty for the sins of his father.
So you think that if your father committed a crime, you should sit in jail
No,
because you are his son?
I do not believe that, but I believe that if my father committed a crime, I should pay my respects and honors to the victims.
But to see it with your own eyes, to have those images in front of you, to see right alongside you crematoriums, gas chambers, and other such things is one of the most disturbing feelings that a person could face.
Imagine all the movies made by the Holocaust and seen by everybody, Schindler's List, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Europa, all of them brought to life just before you, like you would be one of the actors and walk through the setting. All of that brought to life as you walk through the setting of one of the greatest and bloodiest tragedies in human history.
But during the march I felt that Jews especially had a positive approach towards the future. They felt victorious, that they survived these times of hardships and that they were able to come there and to commemorate with dignity their loved ones.
It teaches passion, it teaches compassion between humans, it teaches all kinds of emotions that cannot be experienced otherwise.
It was deeply disturbing to see crematoriums, gas chambers and such other sites in Auschwitz.
Where I truly understood about my past, about my relatives, about the horrors of the past and what my grandparents have lived through. I experienced a range of emotions. I experienced very hard times because I didn't think it was actually possible to see everything and to truly understand it.
And I'm really happy that I could bond with some people there and talk about these tragic events.
One of the most emotional experiences were at Majdanek, where we actually saw how well everything was preserved.
And to realize that people were killed in the most industrial fashion there.
It is mind-blowing, it is uncomparable to any kind of previous academic experience.
I would like to say no,
Unfortunately, I must say yes.
My answer to this question is definitely yes.
but unfortunately, I'm sure there must be some people that are anti-Semitic.
My answer to this question is yes, anti-Semitism is still present today, not only in Europe, but all around the world, from the smallest communities to the largest.
Yes, there are signs of anti-Semitism in Romania, although I think they are not as intense as they used to be.
And it is not taught well enough in schools, and it is not mentioned enough times for people to truly remember and to truly understand the horrors of the past.
Yes, unfortunately, I think anti-Semitism can be found today in Europe.
Anti-Semitism is still present nowadays, from the most developed countries in Europe to the least developed countries in Europe.
I think there is still anti-Semitism because there are a lot of prejudices about the Jewish people. There is also a lack of communication with them. There is a lack of positive approach towards them.
And this is concretely manifested in swastikas drawn on the streets.
It saddens me to say this, but it seems as if slowly everybody forgets about the tragedies.
In Romania, you have loads of anti-Semitic feeling.
Not many know the actual story, the true story behind the Second World War.
Did you experience any anti-Semitism in Romania?
I'm very fortunate to be in a Jewish school, and that means that I have not experienced anti-Semitism in school. I have seen on the streets Mein Kampf being sold. I have heard horrible words about Jewish people being told on the streets.
It would be way more responsible for us to accept our guilt and to apologize and to live with this, because no matter how many generations there will be, this will stay. This is a tragedy that belongs to humanity as a whole, and so long as humanity exists in the world, the Holocaust will exist and we will all be guilty for it.
I want to show you a video and I want you to describe what you see and what do you think about it.
point, this is anti-Semitic.
What I saw proves that people are still having second thoughts about accepting different nations into their society.
It's this stereotype that has been around for ages.
A painting has more meaning to it than just what we can see, let's say.
Seeing Jews with money in their hands and accounting or doing business is only just amazing. It proves that they are good with money.
Why do you think the Jewish link to the money though? What's the connection between the Jewish and the money?
I think lots of people associate Jews with handling of the money. They don't want to change, they still have the same thinking.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy